206,000 of those customers had their power restored, or about 43% have been restored. While we are still assessing storm damage to the region's power infrastructure, especially now that we have daylight, ComEd crews are working around the clock to bring all customers back into service. So to our customers, if you are experiencing a power outage, report it immediately by calling 1-800-EDISON-1. Again, that's 1-800-EDISON-1, or by visiting our website, www.comed.com. Again, ComEd is working around the clock to bring all our customers back. I thank our customers for their patience and understanding, and I thank our ComEd staff for their dedication to meeting the needs of our customers. At this point, let me turn it over to Dave Perez, our Executive Vice President and Chief Operating Officer, for more information on the specific process by which we restore customers. Dave?
Thank you, Gil. I want to echo Gil's remarks in thanking all of our utility workers, all of our employees, all of the first responders that are on the ground, sacrificing and making sure that our communities, our customers are all restored safely. That is the most important thing that we could focus, an outcome that we are so proud of at ComEd, is that we do it safely, and we do make sure that we restore first all of our police, fire stations, then we look at hospitals, nursing homes, and then critical infrastructures and utilities like water plants, pumping plants, and all other critical infrastructure in our communities. We expect to have 80% of our customers restored no later than Wednesday, July 17th in the evening, late evening. 99% of our customers will be restored by Friday, late evening. ComEd crews will be working 24/7, focusing first, like I stated, to make sure that we bring up all critical infrastructure in the communities. We have opened joint operational command centers in the municipalities that were hardest hit by this unprecedented storm. That's Joliet, Streeter, University Park, and Freeport. We are putting every available resource and team member into this response. We have called in mutual assistance from all neighboring utility partners across the nation, including Canada. We have over 300 utility workers that are coming from Canada as well. As of now, as I stated, we have over 3,000 utility workers, including 1,400 personnel coming in from all over the nation. We are coordinating our response with the assistance of local leaders and municipal officials. We train jointly with all of the emergency response agencies, both at the state, city, and local levels for this type of event. The teams are prepared and will do the best they can to make sure that we restore all our communities back to normal. Thank you.
Before we take questions, I would just like to thank Governor Pritzker. As Dave said, we imported some Canadian line workers, and yesterday he issued a letter to the U.S. Customs and Border Patrol to facilitate expediting the Canadian crews and the border crossing into our service territory. That's the reason why they can start and begin working with us today. We are mindful of the heat and humidity in the forecast, and at risk of some more, albeit probably lesser storm today, but all hands on deck here at ComEd, and our teams are, as Dave said, highly trained and we are going to make sure that we are going to be restoring power as safely as possible. Now, to our customers, one very, very important reminder: if you see a downed wire, stay away from it. Assume that it is energized. Call us at 1-800-EDISON-1 or through our website, report the downed wire, and we will address those situations immediately. Thank you. We're now ready to answer your questions.
You talked about it being unprecedented, this event. Is that both the severity and just how many of your customers this touched?
No, it was more the amount of tornadoes that occurred at the same time in a concentrated area. Having 10 tornadoes along the same line of squall with the 70-mile-an-hour wind, that was unprecedented.
Can you list again the areas hardest hit and what specifically is being done in those areas?
Yeah, Dave?
Yeah. So I stated the hardest hit areas were Joliet, Streeter, University Park, and Freeport. What we're doing there is, as I stated, we have opened up joint operating centers, and we will be having base camps with significant amount of resources on the ground to make sure that we really prioritize, again, all the critical infrastructure in those areas that has been impacted, and we could efficiently and safely restore the power and bring up that infrastructure. For example, one of the major highways, I-55 in the Shanahan area, has been shut down because we have multiple trees and transmission infrastructure that's down across the highway. We have people there now. We will have a command center right from that location. They're assessing what it will take to safely, isolate and remove all the conductors and the poles and the towers and the vegetation from the highway, so we can open that back up.
You talked about obviously restoring power to those critical infrastructures. Do you know how many police, fire stations, hospitals were impacted by this that were without power and may be back now, or just initially were without power?
Yeah, we're still, as you can imagine, in the assessment mode, but there are several that have been impacted, especially in these hardest hit areas, and we will have a better, more accurate number in the near term.
Is it rare that you have crews coming from Canada, or is this a special circumstance?
When times like this we've been preparing. As you know, this is the third day in a row where we're responding to major storms. We've been evolving and pivoting to make sure that we have all of the resources available. So last night, when we saw this impacting our customers and communities, we reached out to whatever available resources were out there so that we can get them here as quickly as possible to have the impact that we know we need to have on our communities.
The majority of the damage assessed so far, has it been a result of downed wires just due to the wind? Has it been trees on wires?
No.
What's been the biggest impact?
Yeah, it's as you can imagine, we're right in the middle of the summer. The trees have the heaviest vegetation on them. It's been more from the tornado, the more than 75-mile-per-hour straight winds that have taken down trees and branches that and caused impact on our overhead infrastructure.
Nicole, can you give us any color on what your crews are seeing? To Dave's point, any specifics of the conditions they're experiencing with vegetation and downed equipment?
Yeah, the downed equipment and the infrastructure that we're seeing, the damage has been significant. Like we mentioned, were 10 simultaneous tornadoes that struck our area at the same time. So that is the unprecedented part. The damage that we are seeing is down wires, damaged poles. As Dave has mentioned, on I-55 in Shanahan, near Shanahan, we have 2 of our transmission towers that are down with our very high voltage wires that are our conductors that are across the highway. So we've had to shut that down for safety purposes and also for cleanup purposes as we're continuing to assess. Even within that infrastructure, we have about 16 high voltage poles that are down as well. So we are seeing a lot of infrastructure damage with poles, with wires, some of our transformers that are are on those poles as well. So we're asking our customers to please stay away from those poles, those wires. Assume that those wires are energized. In the event they are, they need to definitely call. Don't make the assumption if they're energized or not. We need to make sure that those customers are contacting us for safety purposes. Thank you.
Out of curiosity, when is the last time that we saw something so severe as far as the number of customers impacted by a storm like this?
August 2020,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, August 2020 is when we've seen it in our territory, but with climate change, we've seen it throughout our nation. And as Dave has mentioned, we operate as a network system across our grid with all of the utility workers to provide mutual assistance. Back in 2020, we saw significant impact in pocket areas, very similar damage, very similar infrastructure. So since that time, we have been doing a lot of work to rebuild our infrastructure and to have more resiliency on our system. We have 4.3 million customers, and sometimes more than that. So when you think about the magnitude of customers that were impacted during the storm, it was significant. But we also had a lot of customers that were able to keep their power and to stay on because of the investments and the resiliencies that we've had.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
We'll keep you guys posted.
Yeah, when you guys get the locations of those joint command centers, is that something you can provide? Awesome. Thank you.
I don't know whether our main emergency operations center.
Okay.
Yeah.
But Joliet already has one, so
With those jail seats, do they give us the ability to have them? When the phase of the